What if I told you that some of Vegas' most famous attractions are designed to separate tourists from their money faster than any slot machine on the Strip? I'm talking about the spots locals actively avoid, the Instagram-worthy illusions that drain your wallet while delivering disappointment. After talking to Vegas residents, casino workers, and hospitality insiders, I've uncovered the 10 traps that make locals cringe every time they see tourists lining up. And trust me, number 6 might shock you more than losing your shirt at the blackjack table. Number 10. The Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign. Picture this. You've just landed in Vegas, adrenaline pumping, ready to experience the magic. Your Uber driver suggests stopping at the iconic welcome sign for that perfect Instagram shot. You arrive to find a parking nightmare, a line of 50 tourists deep, and aggressive photo hawkers offering to professionally capture your moment for $40. Here's what locals know. That sign sits on a dangerous median with zero shade in 115-degree heat. The average wait time? 45 minutes. The photo quality you'll get fighting crowds and squinting into the sun? Forgettable. Meanwhile, locals drive past shaking their heads, knowing you could capture that same Vegas energy at a dozen other spots without the chaos or the risk of heat stroke. The kicker? It was never meant to be a tourist trap, but the influencer era transformed it into an overcrowded, overpriced photo op that wastes the first precious hours of your Vegas trip. But if you think standing in desert heat for a photo is rough, wait until you see what happens when you trust reality TV to guide your Vegas experience. Number 9. Gold and Silver Pawn Shop, Pawn Stars. Pawn Stars made this shop world famous. Millions of viewers watched Rick Harrison appraise everything from rare coins to vintage motorcycles, making the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop feel like a treasure hunter's paradise. The reality? It's a cramped souvenir store packed with tourists buying $25 t-shirts. Here's the brutal truth. The Pawn Stars cast is rarely there. When they are, you'll wait in line for hours just to glimpse them through bulletproof glass while security rushes you along. The actual pawn items, the stuff that made the show interesting, are locked away or already sold. What you get instead is overpriced merchandise and a gift shop experience you could replicate at any airport. Locals know better. Real Las Vegas pawn culture exists at dozens of smaller shops where you can actually negotiate, find genuine deals, and avoid the $20 parking fee. The Gold and Silver Pawn Shop pulls in an estimated 4,000 visitors daily, each one hoping for TV magic and leaving with a keychain. And speaking of manufactured experiences that disappoint, let's talk about a photo op that costs more than most people's dinner. Number 8. 7 Magic Mountains. 7 towers of colorful, stacked boulders rising from the desert. Instagrammers went wild when this art installation opened in 2016. It looks incredible in photos, vibrant, surreal, impossibly Instagrammable. But here's what those filtered photos do and show you. The 30-minute drive into the middle of nowhere. The complete absence of shade or facilities, and the fact that you'll spend maybe 10 minutes there before realizing you've seen everything. Locals call it 7 colored rocks in the desert you drove half an hour to see. There's no admission fee, sure, but factor in gas time and the inevitable stop for overpriced water on the way back. And you've blown 2 hours of your Vegas trip on something you could enjoyed in 30 seconds on Instagram. The art installation was supposed to be temporary, removed in 2018. It's still there because it became too profitable as a tourist magnet. The irony? The artist intended it as commentary on commercialization, and it became exactly what it criticized. But if you want to talk about disappointment, imagine paying premium prices for a show that barely exists anymore. Number 7. Fall of Atlantis Show, Forum Shops, Caesar's Palace. Once upon a time, this animatronic spectacle was cutting-edge entertainment. Fire, water effects, moving statues telling the Atlantis myth while shoppers gathered in awe. That was 1997. Today, it's a dated 3-minute loop of mechanical figures that locals describe as creepy Chuck E. Cheese robots performing a barely comprehensible story. The effects that seemed magical in the 90s now look like rejected props from a high school play. Half the water features don't work. The sound system crackles. And yet, tour groups still schedule stops here as if it's a must-see attraction, wasting 20 minutes, including the wait for the next show cycle, that could be spent literally anywhere else in Vegas. Here's what locals know. The Forum Shops themselves are worth browsing. But the Atlantis show is a relic that should have been retired a decade ago. Caesars keeps it running because it's free content that keeps people in the mall longer, meaning more shopping. You're not watching art, you're watching a retail strategy. Even more revealing is what happens when celebrity chefs slap their names on airport-grade food and charge restaurant prices. Number 6. Hell's Kitchen Restaurant. Now, this is a controversial one, because Gordon Ramsay's brand carries serious weight. The TV show Hell's Kitchen made this restaurant seem like the ultimate dining experience. Fiery kitchens, dramatic plating, Michelin-worthy cuisine. The reality? It's a theme park version of fine dining with prices that would make even Gordon curse. Locals who've worked in Vegas hospitality tell the same story. Hell's Kitchen serves competent food at wildly inflated prices because tourists will pay $60 for beef Wellington they saw on TV. A recent diner reported their $200 per person meal, before drinks, was good, but not better than what you'd get at a steakhouse for half the price. The restaurant consistently ranks in Vegas's top 3 for tourist traps, with locals calling it Applebee's with a celebrity name and triple the cost. The Smoking Gun? Hell's Kitchen has a 78% Yelp rating from out-of-state visitors and a 52% rating from Nevada residents. Locals know, if you want Gordon Ramsay's actual culinary vision, save your money and fly to London. What you're getting here is branding, not brilliance. But if you think overpriced food is bad, wait until you see what happens when you pay for transportation that goes nowhere. Number 5. The Venetian Gondola Rides. $136 for 2 people. That's what you'll pay for a 12-minute gondola ride through a chlorinated indoor canal while a gondolier sings opera, badly, and steers you past chain restaurants and slot machines. It's Venice. If Venice were inside a shopping mall and the Grand Canal smelled like buffet food and cigarette smoke. Here's the local perspective. This attraction exists solely because tourists want to say they rode a gondola in Vegas, without understanding how absurd that sentence is. The outdoor canal route is slightly better. At least you see real sky, but you're still paying $11 per minute to sit in a boat going in a circle while families take photos of you like you're part of the scenery. The kicker? For that same $136, you could take a helicopter tour over the Strip at sunset, see the Hoover Dam, or book a genuine experience that doesn't involve a community college theater major pretending to be Italian in a boat that moves slower than you walk. Locals don't ride gondolas in Vegas. They laugh at tourists who do. The consequences of these tourist traps are clear: wasted money, wasted time, and experiences that exist only for the camera. But nothing captures that trifecta quite like. Number 4. Fly LINQ Zipline. $49.99 to soar above the LINQ promenade, feeling the Vegas wind in your hair. Taking in Strip views from 114 feet up, except the soar lasts approximately 60 seconds. The view is mostly of parking structures and air conditioning units, and you'll spend more time in the safety harness than actually flying. Locals know the truth. Fly LINQ is fine if you value convenience over experience. But Vegas offers the Slotzilla zipline on Fremont Street. Longer, faster, more exciting views, and the Stratosphere thrill rides, actual adrenaline, not a gentle glide. Fly LINQ trades on its Strip location and Instagram appeal, charging premium prices for a mediocre experience that ends before your adrenaline even kicks in. The math is brutal. $49.99 for 60 seconds equals 83 cents per second of mild entertainment. You could bet that money on a single roulette spin and at least enjoy the suspense longer. The zipline's target demographic? People who want to post, "I flew over Vegas," without actually seeking a memorable thrill ride. But speaking of paying premium prices for diminished experiences, let's talk about what happens when fine dining becomes fast casual chaos. Number 3. Bellagio Buffet. The Bellagio Buffet once represented Vegas luxury, the gold standard for all-you-can-eat excess. Crab legs, prime rib, made-to-order crepes, and desserts that belonged in art museums. Then corporate optimization happened. Today, you'll pay $70 for weekend brunch to eat in a cafeteria-style room where the crab legs run out by 11 a.m. The prime rib is pre-sliced and dried out, and the line moves slower than airport security. Here's what locals witnessed. Over the past 5 years, MGM, Bellagio's owner, systematically reduced food quality while increasing prices by 40%. A buffet that once justified its premium cost now serves food that locals describe as cruise ship quality at private jet prices. Recent reviews mention hour-long waits, mediocre food, and the realization that you're paying for the name Bellagio, not the experience. The smoking gun? In 2022, the Bellagio buffet temporarily closed during the pandemic and reopened with new offerings. Industry code for cheaper ingredients, smaller portions, higher prices. Locals know better buffets exist off-strip for half the cost with twice the quality. The Bellagio buffet survives on tourists who don't know any better and Instagram influencers who need that fountain view backdrop. And speaking of names that promise more than they deliver, one local bartender told me, if I had $1 for every tourist who came back disappointed from Vanderpump, I could retire. Here's why. Number 2. Vanderpump au Paris, Caesar's Palace. Lisa Vanderpump's Vegas restaurant promises Parisian elegance, housewives, glamour, and Instagram-worthy pink decor. What it delivers: $22 cocktails that taste like they came from a bottle, $40 entrees that locals compare to fancy Cheesecake Factory, and a 90-minute wait, even with a reservation, because the restaurant prioritizes influencer photo ops over actual service. Locals in the service industry share horror stories. The restaurant is designed for social media, not dining. Tables are positioned for optimal lighting and background aesthetics, not comfort or conversation. The menu prioritizes photogenic presentation over flavor. Your $38 salmon arrives looking gorgeous, but tastes like it was frozen last month. And that famous pink rose you saw on Instagram? $65 per bottle for wine that retails for $15 at Total Wine. The brutal math. Dinner for two with one cocktail each averages $180 before tip. For that price, locals recommend Sparrow plus Wolf, Lotus of Siam, or other Mama. Actual Vegas restaurants where chefs care more about food than followers. Vanderpump au Paris exists because tourists want to feel like housewives, cast members, not because the food or experience justifies the cost. Even more telling, local restaurant workers admit they've never eaten there. It's for tourists who think Vegas is about being seen, not about experiencing anything real. One server told me, "We go there for photos, then eat somewhere else." But if you think overpriced restaurants and disappointing attractions are the worst Vegas has to offer, wait until you hear about number 1. A trap so perfectly engineered, even skeptical tourists fall for it. Number 1. Criss Angel, Mind Freak, Planet Hollywood. Criss Angel was a cultural phenomenon in the 2000s. Death-defying illusions, edgy mystique, magic that made David Blaine look tame. His Vegas residency promised to bring that danger and innovation to the Strip. 20 years later, locals call it the saddest show on the Strip, a relic trading on a name that stopped being relevant when flip phones were cool. Here's the brutal reality. Tickets range from $70 to $200 plus for a 90-minute show that recycles illusions you've seen on YouTube. Features awkward audience participation that makes everyone uncomfortable and culminates in Criss Angel himself. Older, less charismatic performing tricks that feel dated compared to modern magic shows. Recent reviews describe it as a time capsule from 2007 that someone forgot to update. The smoking gun came from Vegas entertainment insiders. Planet Hollywood keeps Mind Freak running because it's profitable through tourist sales alone, despite locals and critics universally panning it. The show's marketing targets visitors who remember Criss Angel from his peak and don't realize the magic, literally and figuratively, is gone. For the price of Mind Freak tickets, you could see Penn and Teller, David Copperfield, or Shin Lim. Magicians who evolved with their craft instead of replaying greatest hits from 2 decades ago. One local magician told me, Criss Angel's Vegas show is what happens when ego and nostalgia replace innovation. Tourists buy tickets expecting 2005 Mind Freak and get 2025 has been. The audience is almost entirely out-of-state visitors who don't know better. Locals avoid it like a curse. The final kicker? Several reviews mention the show feeling desperate, extended merchandise pitches, uncomfortable attempts at edginess that land flat, and a performer who seems aware his relevance expired years ago but can't admit it. You're not watching magic. You're watching someone milk a dead brand. Vegas will always glitter. The lights will always dazzle. The promises will always sound irresistible. But locals know something tourists learn too late. The brightest attractions often hide the emptiest experiences. These 10 traps exist because they're profitable, not because they're worthwhile. They survive on tourists who visit once, post their photos, and leave, never realizing they paid premium prices for bargain basement experiences. So here's my challenge. Next time you're planning a Vegas trip, ask a local. Skip the Instagram bait. Avoid the celebrity brands that care more about merchandising than magic. Because the real Vegas, the shows, restaurants, and experiences locals actually recommend, those don't need traps to lure you in. They earn your money through quality, not gimmicks.